Are you doing the full 5 minutes? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to round 8 here for the Skypoynt Skypoynt Racing Truck Series. I've definitely butchered that one up, but we are here at Talladega for 80 laps worth of racing here tonight. In the broadcast booth is myself and Blocker. How you going, Blocker?
I'm doing well, Ryan. How are you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. I'm not going to fall asleep during the interview, I'll say that. But we're about to head into our race. I'm looking forward to this one. We do have two sets of tyres here. One over the wall for the drivers. We're heading over to the starting grid. Darren McKenzie sticks on pole from his teammate Tom Pritchard, who is actually leading the championship. Daniel Stevens and Trent Gosley, they make up your second row, with Greg Spencer and Andy Barber making up your third. Aidan Jules in seventh, with Andrew Dyson from DPR in eighth. Adam Malone, Southern Stars, and Luke Crummy in 10th. He's ending your top 10 so far. Daniel Stevens in 11th, with Henry Fenton in 12th position. Jay Mello in 13th, with Nigel Patton in 14th and Will Jesberg in 15th. That's rounding out your top 15. Steve Hopper in 16th, with Maxi Marshall in 17th. Jason Hosworth 18th, Nigel Seidel in 19th, and Glenn Clem, he entered your top 20. Kobe Jordan in 21st, Dave Douglas second in their championship. He's starting all the way back in 22nd, with Luke Kenny in 23rd, and Troy Morrison, he's ending your 24. Cody Roffey in 25th, Chris Tomlin in 26th, Todd Maxfield in 27th, Christopher Finlay in 28th, Aaron Dillon in 29th, Gary Wellman in 30th, Noddy Tompkins 31st, Wayne Priest in 32nd. Alex Smith, he is in 33rd, with Kim Roffey in 34th, and then Craig Roffey from Middle Split Racing. He ends your 35 car grid. So, Blocker, we're about to go green. They're behind the safety car, side by side. We have a Southern Star Skypoynt first row. How do you reckon this race is going to go?
Well, it's going to be an interesting start because there's six trucks starting out of pit lane. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can make those spots up if there's not an early caution.
That's right, and we've got to find out very soon. Restart zone in play. Darren McKenzie, Tom Pritchard's your front row, and we are green for the first time tonight. 80 laps under the board, 200 miles is a treacherous race that these drivers will need to get past here so far, side by side into turn number 1 and 2. No mistakes being made so far. Everyone's just stayed put. Everyone's going to start to find their rhythm and just try and tick down the laps. And a bit of facts about here tonight. 80 laps, 200 miles distance. They have 2 sets of tyres, and that's going to regard one over the wall. And we will see about 24 to 25 laps worth of running before these drivers will start coming to get some fuel. So it's a long one here tonight, 80 laps, and we should be seeing around the 3-stopper race. But Tom Pritchard, Super Speedway King's done a great job at leading the charge. Trent Gosley's in the top lane there, just above Darren McKenzie. So Tom does have a little bit of margin there. He's just seen down the bottom. And what these drivers are going to do here tonight is just try and find the balance between the top line and the low line, because we are eventually going to have a pretty big wreck, as we usually do see for the super speedways. But we are back for the Triple Crown. This is our second part of Daytona before we head back to a second part of Atlanta and Talladega. So that's going to be a good thing to watch also. But Andy Barber from Skypoynt, he's pushing Trent Gosley there. Car 4, car 5 leading the charge. Trent Gosley in the lead. Andy Barber's just tucked back behind his teammate. And those Skypoynt boys are going to start to work together as we're heading into lap 3 so far. No cautions. And it looks like everyone's stayed fairly clean. And no mistakes have been made so far. But Blocker, this race has started off pretty clean. What have you started to observe so far?
Very nice move there from Andy Barber. He gave Trent Gosley a nice little push on the outside. But I think Trent probably should have just pushed down to that lower line. But nice move there for Andy Barber, jumping in front of his teammates. And yeah, they're going to look to optimise to run the
Yeah, and for the people that haven't seen this kind of racing and iRacing before, Super Speedways is, obviously a very big to optimally race, but just so anybody will just flicker out just a little bit. But teammates are running together. That's really important here. We see the Skypoynt Southern Star teams. They will be working together also. We have the Sim Boys, Gary Wellman, Toddy Maxfield, and others. They'll be working together also. So it's it's a big team kind of race here. They really want to work together, really try and get to the end. Drivers are starting to play the long game. We're only 5 laps into this race. We're only just dipping our toes into the racing so far. Everyone's going to be trying to get to get to the final 10 laps of the race to actually have a fighting chance. That's why we're seeing the double file so far. We've seen the 2 wide, no 3 or 4 wide so far, but there's no doubt that we're going to see that towards the end of the race. But Andy Barber leading the charge over Tom Pritchard. His teammate Darren McKenzie, Southern Stars, in third. Skypoynt Southern Stars 1, 2, 3 so far. Locking out your podium. Trenton Gosley in fourth. Henry Fenson's moved up 7 positions into fifth. Daniel Stevens moved down into sixth. Nigel Patton, he's up 7 as well. Andrew Dyson in eighth. He stayed where he started, and we do have Steve Hoppett in ninth. Greg Spencer 10. So that's your top 10. So everyone's starting to move around, finding their own groove. We have a few drivers that have moved up quite a lot in the order, and then we have drivers that have dropped quite a bit also. Some of those most notable: Andy Barber, car 5, up 5 positions. He's leading. Henry Fenson up 8. He's fourth. Nigel Patton, he's up 8. Same with Steve Hoppett. Gary Wellman's up 20. So that's a big jump for the Sim Boys, number 47. Troy Morrison in 13th, he's up 11. Toddy Maxfield in 15th, he's up 12. Dwayne Priest is up 15, he's 17th. Glenn, he's up 1, he's 19th. 21st is Dave Douglas, he's up 1, same with Flip Kenny. So a lot of the drivers have found their own groove, and you also got to think back to the guys that have also started in the pits. That's why we do see the drops at the end. Like Kobe Jordan, Chris Tomlin, Will Jesberg, Luke Crum, Jason Holsworth, Noah Tompkins, Aaron Dillon. I'm pretty sure they all started in the pit lane for the race start. So strategies in play here tonight. Also starting in pits is one of them. Just trying to minimise the risk of damaging a car, crashing out early, banking it on a caution earlier on. That's why they started in the pit lane. But obviously so far, 7 laps into this race, no caution so far.
Yeah, good to see it a super speedway. But the other thing you got to take into fact as well, if you're one of those trucks that's leading the line there, you're going to be burning a little bit more fuel than everyone else. So you got Henry Fenson on the outside there, who's leading that second line with Nigel Patton in behind him, and he's going to be burning that little bit extra fuel there, as well as Andy Barber out the front.
Yeah, and Andy's punching the hole in the air. He has his teammate there pushing behind. And then we have Darren McKenzie just sitting there. Just a bit of a gap back. That was tight. But, Andy Barber's leading. We have Tom Pritchard in second. And then we have Darren McKenzie. So that all 3 of them are working together, and everyone else is starting to find their groove as well. Trent Gosley just sitting behind Darren quite comfortably. And then we start to go 2 wide. We have Henry Fence and Nigel Patton. They're running side by side with each other. We have Gary Wellman. He's also tucked in. So we're starting to see the cars go single file. Not too many people are on the high line, but we aren't really seeing the high line start to push yet. What you're going to notice towards the mid to end parts of the race, we see cars start to try and make moves up on the high line. As we see the Sim Boys up there as well. That looks like it's Gary Wellman and Aaron Dillon. They'll be working together also. But no, we have a lot of things in the play. We have the fuel, we have the tyres. Fuel's always tight for Daytona, so the drivers are going to try and make it the longest that they can. Look at us green, we can see car 52 there, Aiden Schulz. he's had his fair share of super speedways, and there's a reason why he's been nicknamed Meatball. But he's a great driver, and I'm looking forward to see how he presses on. He is one of the former champions here at Skypoynt NASCAR Truck Series. He used to have the number 1 before Dave Douglas ripped the stickers off his car at the start of this season, and Dave Douglas is your current champion, and former, current, same thing, but Aiden was one of the former champions. Now it's gone to Dave Douglas, and at the moment Tom Pritchard just started to get his eye in on the championship too. He is the championship leader, so you got to keep that in mind. Also, he is leading the championship over Dave Douglas, Darren McKenzie, and Daniel Stevens. Darren McKenzie, Daniel Stevens have both neck and neck, same points. But Tom Pritchard and Dave Douglas, they're fighting up in the front of the championship too. 16 points difference. So Tom's in second, and Dave Douglas, not too sure where he is. But that's something to also look out for too. The championship fight is going to be on from now on to the end of the series. And Dave Douglas is actually in 22nd too, so he must have been one of the drivers. Oh, well, no, he didn't start in pit. So he's in 22nd. Tom Pritchard's in 20th. So at the moment,
before the race, and he wasn't too happy with his open setup. As we know, it's an open setup league, and in qualifying he couldn't quite find the pace there, so he did make some changes to his setup just before the race, but we'll have to see how that plays out over the race for Dave.
That's right. That's also something that comes into play. Just forgot momentarily, actually. My apologies to you, Paul. Open setup. The drivers will tune their setups to however they would like, and that's when we see the pace change between the drivers. But Dave Douglas seems to be having a bit of struggles from what I have word in my ear about. So that's something to look out for so far. But how good is this, Paul, so far? 12 laps into it. Everyone's trying to go single file. What do you reckon is going to happen from now on?
Well, I think everyone's settling in now. Probably going to be thinking about that first pit stop. Trying to save as much fuel as they can, get those extra couple of laps out, and optimising their pit stop, trying to shorten that time, saving for fuel and that, and try and jump half the field for pit stops.
Yeah, and that's going to be an interesting point here tonight. Like you just raced, they are starting to get ready for the green flag pit stops. Tom has been leading, well, now Andy, they have both been leading the race for the majority so far. So Andy's going to be really burning up his fuel. So that's something he needs to really keep an eye on. He has to pit before the rest of the field. And naturally, knowing the Summer Star guys, so one of them will pit and then the rest of them will pit. So keep an eye out for that. But we are 10 laps away from figuring out when people are going to come in. They're going to take their stops. When are they going to take their tyres? Daytona, not really a big tyre, a big tyre track. It's not too harsh in the tyres, so that's why they only have one set of tyres. Usually you don't even really change your tyres at all, so 80 laps from one set of tyres seems like a stretch, but it's really not here at Daytona International Speedway. Speaking about Daytona, I'll just run us through a bit of track facts for Daytona. We're in Daytona Beach, Florida, home to the Daytona 500, which this venue has opened up on February 22nd, 1959. 63 years old. She's an old girl. Quad oval, 4 turns. Quad or tri-oval, however you would wish. The banking, 31 degrees from the turns. The tri-oval, front not so straight, is 18 degrees. Back straight is 2 degrees, so you can really see how it flattens out there. We're starting to see a bit of a push here at the front. We have 2 cars up on the high line. That looks like it's Steve Hoppett and Toddy Maxfield. They're starting to try and make a run up to the front. of Andy Barber, Tom Pritchard. So let's keep an eye out on this and keeping an eye on this. Why don't we go on board with Toddy Maxfield and really see how he's going to push with Steve Hoppett to see if they can get their way up to the front. They're heading down to the back stretch. Toddy Maxfield right up the back of Steve Hoppett. They're going to be trying to push each other right up the front. We can see Trent Gosley and Darren McKenzie on your left-hand side. They're running the bottom line, just staying nice and consistent. And now we're having the push up on the high line. Lap 16 now. So we're starting to see this kind of come into play. Henry Fenton just getting a little bit close for comfort to Gary Wellman. Go through the triangle. They're still trying to push there. Looks like they're starting to fall back a little bit, but we can really start to see the gain on the straight. And looks like they just start to back off each other in the corners. That's what I usually do when I'm running at Daytona. I'll push them down the straights and start to back off a little bit. But we'll see them really try and Gary Wellman try and really push Steve Hoppett here, get right up in his bumper. We can see him starting to really push up on the high line. Now Aiden's moved up. Now he's seen the run that Steve and Gary are starting to get. Aiden's going to try and get right up to his teammates here, who are currently 1, 2, and 3. Now it's not 1, 2, and 3. Steve Hoppett now nosing in to break the streak between Sunstars and Skypoint. And Steve Hoppett's done a great job. Right up the door of Tom Pritchard so far, getting ready to get up to the door of Andy Barber. To see this is really starting to work out, and now Aiden's on the back too. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple other people start to try the high line. 2 cars down the back there. Looks like Donnelly. He's Dwayne Priest is starting to try the high line, and I'm too sure who that is. Shea Mello, I have word of, but Steve Hoppett starting to really push up to the Skypoint cars of Andy and Tom, and it's starting to work. We go down the back stretch again. No, the front stretch for the triangle, and we can really see how dead side on Steve and Tom are at the moment. But how good is this blocking so far? We're going on to lap 20 very shortly. We're only a quarter into this race. We're starting to see moves being made already.
Yeah, quarter way into green flag racing at a 6 Speedway. I'm sure the drivers will take that any day. But yeah, it's good to see Steve Hoppett up the front there. I haven't seen Steve in many of the truck races, and good to see him come back for Daytona, and he's having a good run tonight.
Yeah, and quite a few drivers are having a good run tonight. Steve Hoppett 13 up. Toddy Maxfield, he is up 22. Gary Wellman's up 19. Dwayne Priest up 16. So a lot of the drivers are really starting to maximise in the opening stages of the race. We're about to get into the green flag pit stops also, so that's something that they need to consider. How have they saved? Well, how much fuel have they saved? How well have they saved it? And Daytona being a big fuel race. With the draft, we're 20 laps in, a quarter way through, so we should be seeing 3 pit stops. The first one on lap 25, the second one on lap 50, and then the final one. That's going to be really close. So they're going to be really trying to bank on 2 pit stops rather than 3, but it's going to be really close. They might need to splash at the end too, so this whole race is going to be a big fuel save race. They'll need to save about 15 laps worth of fuel to get to the end, so that's when we'll see the 3rd pit stop really come in, because they shouldn't really be able to save 15 laps worth of fuel. That's a big number, but Steve Hoppett still chipping away at trying to get to the lead there. Toddy Maxfield still sitting behind us. You can see Gary Wellman midway through the field. He's starting to poke his nose out also. Might be trying to get into the draft of his teammate ahead. No, he tucks back in to the rear of Andrew Dyson. They're seeing P10 and 11, but Gary Wellman's moved back up to the high line. We have Aiden up there too, so he's not going to really... I wouldn't be surprised if Aiden tries to poke his nose back up there and follow the pack for the second time, but Gary Wellman's really going to get onto the back of this pack with his teammate Toddy Maxfield pushing Steve Hoppett up front. Dwayne Priest is starting to push too. And we also have, it looks like Jay Mello still behind Dwayne, so they'll be working together also. So we're starting to really see the top line start to form. The bottom line's the main line so far. Everyone's single file. Everyone's just been patient to try and get to the first green flag pit stop. But what this is going to do on the high line as well is it's going to make it a bit difficult to get down into the pit lane as well. So they're really going to have to time this perfectly to be able to get up to the front. But it looks like they're falling back a bit too. Steve Hoppett no longer up the door
What they really need to do there is hope that Trent Gosley will pop out in front of Hoppett and they can push him up in front, which will slow down the inside lane there and give that outside lane a good push.
That's right, and we see the push already. You can see Steve fall back a little bit. Trent Gosley and Henry Ferguson. I think we have Daniel Stevens there. He's Trent's teammate also. So quite a few drivers could be able to pop up onto the high line and start to work with them. But we're so close to the green flag pit stop that no one's really starting to blink. Everyone's really been patient. And Daytona being a fuel race, and you're also going to be really mindful of the cautions too. We see the Skypoint Southern Star guys coming in already for the green flag pit stop, so they're blinking already, lap 23. And I assume that's because Andy Barber's going to run out of fuel for pushing up the front, so they all went in, and we had other drivers coming in too. Now Steve Hoppett finally inherits the lead. Tony Maxfield's giving him a push. Gary Wellman's there, Dwayne Priest is there, Trent Gosley's there. Everyone's going to start to find their own pace, their own speed. And watch very closely. We're no doubt going to see some cars. We're no doubt going to see some cars popping into the pit lane. But here comes the Sim boys.
Yeah, and they weren't going to sit there behind Steve. Todd Maxfield popped out, Wellman to push him round, and they're going to look at leading a lap if Todd's got enough fuel to make another lap here. But looks like everyone's scattering into pit lane, so Dyson managed to stay out here as well, and he's got his teammate Steve Williams back there. And you've got Pinnacle Esports there as well, Nigel Pan and Greg Spencer. So those boys know how to run a super speedway as well, and how to save fuel and be there at the end. So they're ones to look out for as well tonight.
Yeah, and Andrew Dyson especially, I reckon he's one to also look out for. His teammate Stephen Williams there in fourth now. He's also one to look out for. Lap 23 is when we first started to see his pit stops. We'll see if they're going to come in now, but there's a very few cars that are still running out in the field. We have 8 cars in this first pack before they're going to come into the pit lane and take the first splash of fuel. And no doubt, yep, everyone's coming in except Nigel Paddock and Greg Spencer. They've managed to save another lap of fuel. This is going to be critical. So we're going to watch these guys truck along out in the lead before we start to see the field start to sort itself back again. Before we see the field sort itself out after the green flag pit stops, everyone's going to find their own space again. And then we're going to start to see the pace really start to pick up when the cars are full of fuel.
Yeah, and looks like here the Southern Stars and Skypoint team, they're pretty good pit stop there. And I've actually found Adam Malone as well. So Adam Malone's picked up on the back of them as well. So there's now 4 cars there at the front.
And that's correct. Nigel Paddock and Greg Spencer getting ready to come into the pit lane. Now they're in the pits. Andrew Dyson, Dave Douglas, Stephen Williams, Luke Kenny, Jason Holdsworth. Looks like they're coming out of the pit lane too. And that's going to give Andy Barber, Tom, the lead once again when they push over the high line to get to them. But we already have the lead pack still working together. We have Andy Barber, Tom Pritchard, Darren McKenzie, Adam Malone, Henry Fenton. They're all running on the high. We have Dave Douglas, Joyce Holsworth and Noddy Tompkins there together as well. So everyone's starting to find their own space, and we can really see the Southern Star entries and Skypoint guys really starting to work together up at the front of the pack here. We're going to watch him get right up into the back of Andrew Dyson, watch him go high as they start to overtake him. And that is going to create, this is going to put them a lap down or to the back of the field as the Skypoint and Southern Star guys are really starting to push now And that's what I really like to watch about these Southern Star entries, is how well they can push. And what I would be interested in watching is possibly Darren McKenzie's point of view as well, because Tom's going to be really pushing the back of Andy, and that allows Darren McKenzie and Adam Malone to just start to follow behind Henry Fenton also, and then we have the other drivers in this little pack of 7 cars. We can really start to watch them work together.
All right, I just want to touch base on those pit stops. So if we look at the pit lane times there, coming into pit lane, Andy spent 38.9 seconds in pit lane with a pit time of 12.68 seconds. But if you look at Adam Malone there, 38.6, so 3 tenths faster there, but he only had a 12.27 pit time. Compared to Darren McKenzie, a 12.07 time there. So some pretty quick pit stops from them. But if we look back at Andrew Dyson, we know this was mentioned on one of the other broadcasts that I was watching, that Dyson just nails his pit stops every single time coming into pit lane. And his pit lane time is 37 seconds, 0.87. So he was the fastest transition through pit lane, but he had a slightly slower stop than the other boys there. So almost a second longer in pit time there.
Yeah, and that would have evened out the difference between the pit entry as well. Andrew Dyson, I've seen him in a few series as well, so he can really nail those pit stops, like he said, and he really knows how to nail down the strategy. We saw last week that we had him in the broadcast booth a couple of times. We got to check out his webcams, but he was having some issues with damage, and that really set him back from having a chance at having a win or getting a win this season. But no doubt he's running with the lead pack at the moment. Going to be really patient here. We're getting ready to go halfway through in about 10 laps time. So this is when we start to see the mid-pack battles and the mid-race battles, should I say, start to kick up, and we'll see the 2 wide action. But it looks like we have a few separate packs too. We have the lead pack that has 7 or so drivers in it, and then we have the second pack that starts from Greg Spencer, and that goes to Shane Mello. So that's another, that's from 9th to 15th. And then Glenn Klein, that's a third pack. That's from 16th all the way to 24th, and then 24th. Yeah, so that's going to be a pretty decent strategies between the packs too. We have about 4 packs all. We'll try getting a little close to Gary on the transition there, but around 4 packs worth of racing here tonight so far. We're only 31 laps in. Everyone's starting to separate. We're going to see towards the back end of the race that everyone's going to start to get together, but I am pretty surprised that we haven't had our first caution of the night. But Blocker, whenever there's a wreck, it's going to be big here at Daytona, and we'll see that very shortly, no doubt. But we have gone caution free here at Daytona before, just in a different series or season, so we know it is possible, but so far no cautions.
Yeah, and we don't want to put the old commentator's curse on here, so it's good to see that Dave's managed to jump himself up 15 spots through those pit stops. So he's really come in, and a little bit of cat and mouse there with Wellman and Dave in the background there, just trying to maybe slow down this lead pack to let the other pack catch up behind him. So might be just trying to bring that other pack up, and then if that second pack gets on the back, they can pop out and make a run for the front there.
Yeah, and with the separate packs too, they're going to be trying to find each other. The second pack will be starting to push up, trying to push up to the lead pack. That's led by Greg Spencer and Nigel Patton from Pinnacle Esports. So they're leading the second pack, and they're going to start to try and push up to the lead pack, and then we'll see further back, we'll start to see a third pack that's been led by Glenn Klein and then the fourth seems to be getting led by Chris Tomlin. But we have a few cars lapped down that I've noticed too. Steve Hoppett 1 lap down, Will Jesberg 2, Troy Morrison 5, Dwayne Priest 8. So I wonder if something had happened there that caused them to. But if we did have an incident, no caution so far. So these guys will be pushing ahead with what they got. And looks like it's a very solid race for all the drivers at the moment.
Just going back to those pit times, just having a look here, and just wondering why Todd Maxfield's found himself in that third pack. And he was up front, and he actually spent 49.5 seconds through pit time and had an 18-second stop. So just wondering if Todd forgot to untick his tyres there and he did a tyre change by accident.
It'd be a possibility, but you know that's what usually happens here. There's mistakes being made, and that really starts to form the race. So a bit unfortunate. It looks like he did take tyres. Unless he's spun in the pit lane, we shouldn't really see that distance, well, that long in the pit lane. But you know, he's on the lead. He's on the pack at the moment, so he's doing a good job. Just pushing along too. So no doubt he'll find himself up to the front and having a go for the lead. But speaking about the lead, Andy Barber still in the lead. Tom Pritchard's in second. We have Darren McKenzie in third. Adam Malone in fourth. Henry Fenton fifth. Andrew Dyson in sixth. Dave Douglas set a double D's. He's in seventh. Gary Wellman in eighth. And then Greg Spencer and Nigel Patton. That ends your top 10. So the top 10 pretty strong at the moment. Top 8 is in the first pack. Now I'm talking about the first pack quite a lot because this is what we're focusing on at the moment. We see everyone is quite single file at the moment. Nothing's really happening. Everyone's been patient. Everyone doesn't really want to step out and make a mistake. No fast repairs for this league. So once you get damaged, then that's it. So during the end stages of the race, that's when we're going to start to see the cars hit each other.
That second pack's starting to pick up the pace now, so they're just under 2 seconds behind, so they're really pushing to catch up on the back of Gary Wellman now.
They'll be starting to push forward, really get to the back of Gary Wellman, like I said before. But we'll check out the cockpit. Good moment there. We have Greg Spencer on the grass. Speaking about him, it looks like he caught the car really, really nice. So that's a good job. And why not? We'll jump on the cockpit of Greg Spencer, really start to check out his point of view, and let's start to watch him try and push back up to his teammate, who has now inherited the lead of the pack. We can see Stephen Williams just ahead of Greg Spencer here. Craig Roffey's there, and Christopher Finlay's there. Nigel Patton's leading that pack. You can see the gain. He started to really start the push in the draft here. Is big at Daytona. He's going to try and run high. No, he's sitting just patiently behind Stephen Williams. And look out. We see Nigel Patton here. We can see the first pack now starting to come back. Gary Wellman, we just see ahead. He's running with Andy Barber, Tom Pritchard, Darren McKenzie, Adam Malone, Henry Fenton, Andrew Dyson, Dave Douglas, Gary Wellman. And you can see it again. They're really starting to push up. And now they're onto the lead pack. And we can see the battle start to form. And we hear the trucks roar by. Well, we're hearing the trucks roar by. Nigel Patton is down the back of Gary Wellman. The first pack, second pack now together. Bit of a pack ranging from first place to 16th place. So all together, they're going to start to run together. Nearly 40 laps into this race. Just about to be halfway. Had our first green flag pit stop. And we've had a couple cars have incidents throughout the race. But so far, relatively clean. Everyone's together. For the most part, everyone's working together, single file, and everyone's just been really patient. We can see you've got to applaud the drivers for it. They're doing a great job. at staying patient here. And Blocko, you've had your experiences here at Daytona, same with your Intersim teammate or mate, Meatball. But why don't you give us a bit of your experiences here at Daytona? Sorry.
Well, we know anything can happen at a super speedway, and yeah, we're pretty much just in it for the full 80 laps. You just go along for the ride. We're halfway now, lap 40 of 80. So, where you're sitting now, anything can happen. There could be a caution, it could be a wreck, or we may go green flag the whole way. So, you really just got to put your truck in a good spot and hope that you're there in that lead pack towards the end, and make sure you nail your pit stops, and hopefully someone's there to work with you if you don't have a teammate, and get the best result you can.
Yeah, and what I've really picked up from watching a couple of Daytona races with these guys especially, and other leagues as well, some things to consider. How are you going to manage your fuel? What fuel strategy you're going to run? How are you going to manage the tyres? When the car gets a bit too slidey, are you going to take fuel? Are you going to take tyres, or are you going to deal with it? Teammates, they play a big part in your race with working together.
Super speedways, you don't really tend to need to take tyres. I've done more super speedways in your next gen cars or the older cup cars and that compared to the trucks, but yeah, I find you don't need tyres at super speedways, so it's more so about optimising your fuel, trying to push that extra lap or two, and that the guys at the front will sometimes slow the pack down just so they can save that extra lap or two for fuel to try and pit with their teammates, rather than being a couple of laps ahead of them to pit. And if you can optimise that fuel, but when you go and get those lead cars start to pit, if you've just been sitting back, you're sitting about half to 3/4 throttle and saving that fuel, if you've got your teammates with you behind the lead cars that are pitting, you can really push hard in the next lap or two as well, and you can actually make a lot of ground on those cars that pitted early.
Yeah, and the long game is also something going to play. That's what a lot of my teammates really think about, is how you're going to run the race. You want to be there at the end. You don't want to race hard for the first 70 laps, have a wreck, and then there's your chances up for everything else towards the back end of the race. So everyone's got to try and stay clean. Everyone's got to try and really minimise the mistakes being made, and just try and be there for the real race, I would call it, because this is just the build up to the final 5-10 laps of the race. The first 70 laps is nothing but just trying to get there in the first place. You've got to be there at the end to make it, to have your best chance at winning this race, and it's so important to win this race. It's the second Triple Crown race for Daytona, and there's only 3 of them. You have 3 of your Atlanta, you have 3 of your Daytona, 3 of your Talladega, and that's really going to make up the Triple Crown. Also, cash prizes in play after the race too. Post-race reviews also. So Skypoynt Oval Leagues really has it all that you could ask for. We have an awesome race here starting to unfold. Andy Barber and Tom Pritchard, your 2 league organisers and runners that are actually 1-2 at the moment. So that's perfect to watch the 2 Skypoynt cars leading. Post-race review at the end race. And so far, they have a bit of a one here tonight. Nothing too much to do. But no caution so far. If you're interested to see what happens in the post-race review, it's held in the Skypoynt Oval League's Facebook page. So we'll have a look at the race star and all the incidents, and determine who's at fault and apply the appropriate penalties. And yeah, they're doing an amazing job too. So if you do want to also jump in for the NASCAR Truck Series, you can also check out skypointracing.com and that will allow you to buy your ticket into the remainder of the season. But we'll jump back into the second pack. This this battle starting to ramp up. We have Aiden Stills, he's leading this one. Glenn Klein, Tony Roffey, Toddy Maxfield, Kim Roffey, they're all together. We have the middle split cars all together in this pack too. We have that lone Southern Stars, number 52, Meatball of Aiden Stills. He's doing a good job at staying in the leader there. He's punching the hole in the air for everyone else, so everyone's going to be really starting to use his draft for that. Glenn Klein, he's on the bottom line. He's following Aiden, Tony Roffey, Tony Roffey and Kim Roffey. Those guys are in the high line. They're going to start to push up to the door of Aiden. We have Toddy Maxfield there too, and Nigel Seidel as well. Keep an eye out for this. Keep an eye out for this pack. They're going to start to try and really push up to this lead, but the gap is quite large, so it's going to be difficult. But 20 seconds gap to the lead, and the times are coming back pretty quickly too. Now 20 seconds and ranging a little bit closer, so we're going to check out that, and a caution will definitely bring everyone together. But the lead pack so far, forever expanding, still being led by Andy Barber, Tom Pritchard. I reckon we should jump on board with Tom Pritchard and watch him push his Skypoynt teammate. And we'll watch that for a couple of laps, and then we'll get back to you. Never mind. Pit stops now happening. Lap 47 out of 80. Just as I go to shut up for a sec. Boom. We have a second pit stops on the race. Lap 48 out of 80. This one.
Now have a look at this, Ryan. You've got Dyson at the front there. And Dave Douglas really sitting on the back of Dyson there with Wellman. So they're going to push as hard as they can this lap to try and make up as much time as they can from just sitting in behind those Southern Star cars. So when they go through their pit stop transition, they can come out in front of them.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight one too. We have the Skypoynt Southern Star guys already in the pit lane. That's lap 48 out of 80, not even halfway through the race. And they are heading into the pit lane. See the lead pack going for another lap, saving another lap of fuel. So they're going to really need to be careful for the Skypoynt and the Southern Star guys, because they are going to need to try and get to the end, and they're going to fall just short if they are racing how they are now. Might need to give up that first position, the 1, 2, 3, 4 for Southern Stars, and really try and get another person to lead the race. But so far, the lead of the race goes to Andrew Dyson, Dave Douglas, our former champion, Gary Wellman, and Nigel Patton, Christopher Finlay, Stephen Williams. They're all sitting together. We have Greg Spencer, Luke Kenny, and others. They've gone another lap. We're going to see if they come into the pit lane now. We have one car coming in to the pit lane. That looks like it's Christopher Finlay. And the lead pack now going for another lap. So they've now saved enough fuel to get to lap 50. We'll see how far they can get before they need to come to the pits.
And if you look at those first pit stop transitions, they're around 23 laps. So if they can go another 5 laps and then maybe save, they might not need to take another pit stop.
Yeah, and green flag pit stops have been what's happening so far. So we've had 2 so far. We have Daniel Stevens now in the pit lane, and others are about to duck in. Let's see if Andrew Dyson and Gary Wellman now blinks, and so does Che Mello. They're both in the pit lane. Andrew Dyson, Dave Douglas, Nigel Patton, Stephen Williams, Greg Spencer, Luke Kenny. They've been able to go for one more lap, and that's a huge thing for this race. Lap 51 out of 80. We are 10 laps past the halfway point, and if they are heading for 24 lap stints, then they're going to end up 76 laps into the race after their pit stop, and that's going to really come into play too. How they're going to be able to save that fuel. And after this one, there should be one more stop. Now they're starting to come in now. Andrew, Dave, Nigel, Greg, Stephen, Luke, all in the pit lane. Just keep an eye out on this and see how they're going to really take the pit stops. You can see they're all in the pit boxes now, all finding their pit crews, stopping on the marks. No cars are up on the jacks at the moment. No tyres so far, so they're still unticked. But we're having a look at Gary Wellman and Che Mello. They're both above the pack of Darren McKenzie, Tom Pritchard, Andy Barber, Adam Malone. The lead of Southern Stars Skypoynt now goes to Darren McKenzie and Tom. Andy Barber falling back into 11th place. And after these pit stops are completed, then we're going to see the guys running high.
So Wellman's going to get stuck behind a lap car here, so that's really going to hurt him. So if I was Wellman and Mallow there, I would have just popped out in front of Darren to block that run from them. And you can see there, Wellman on the middle lane now, 3 wide. He's trying to get on the back of this pack so he doesn't drop too far off.
Yeah, and we can see a scatter of cars now. You see the top line, the bottom line, and this is when we start to see the cars start to race each other. But so far, so good for Andrew Dyson, Dave Douglas. They're at the front working together. They're able to push those extra laps, and now there's a gap of 2.6 seconds back to Darren McKenzie. So they've really been able to get a big jump on those other guys. You can see out the back of Dave Douglas's car, Double D's casting couch. It's a pretty cool thing. On the wing, I won't give you any more. Anyway, so we have Andrew Guyton, Dave Douglas out in the lead. Darren McKenzie, Tom Pritchard, that's leading the second pack. They're starting to really start to form up. 1.9 seconds and counting down is the difference between the two. So we can really start to see the pace between having 2 cars working together and having the whole pack working together too. Looks like we have number 4, Trent Gosley. He's 30 seconds away. It doesn't look like it's Trent Gosley. It must have been one of his teammates. We'll see very shortly. But there is a bit of a difference between the two paces. Daniel Stevens, there we go. It wasn't the number 4 of Trent Gosley, but he's moved high. He's let the pack go by. A lot of respect being shown for that. It's a unwritten rule in NASCAR that if you're going to let them go on the high line. And that's exactly what he's done now. Southern Stars, Skypoynt, they're moving high on the high line to start to try and get by Andrew Dyson, Dave Douglas. 26 laps remaining in this race. Who we're going to see win this one? It's a bit hard to see now. We're 26 laps to go, and everyone's starting to really start to fight each other, side-by-side racing, just like we had at the start. And Andrew Dyson and Dave Douglas is leading the charge at the bottom line. They have Luke Kenny, Steve Williams, and Gary Wellman. They're in the bottom running with him. And then we have Darren McKenzie, Tom Pritchard, Andy Barber, Adam Malone. Those guys are on the high line.
Where'd Luke Kenny come from? He's just come out of nowhere and he's found himself up in the top 5.
So he's snuck himself up to the top 5, and he's doing an awesome job at just staying there for the pack, being patient. But, we're going 3 wide. This is going to be interesting to see. Tom just hitting the wall. See Tom just tapped the wall there. Just trying to dodge that lap car. But not going to be too happy with that. Looks like the side of his car is pretty good, so it doesn't look like any big damage comes out of that one. But Blocker, single file yet again. 25 laps remaining. That's enough for 1 fuel stint. What do you reckon they're going to do?
Well, if I was the Southern Stars boys now after that little mishap, then I'd be looking at trying to save that fuel and let Dyson and Douglas burn themselves out on the fuel. Let them run the front, and they're not going to be able to save that much unless they really slow this pack down. yeah, I just sit back there and save as much fuel as I can. Have quarter to half throttle if you can, and try not to drop off too much off the pack, and just stay there and see if you can make that fuel to home.
Yeah, that's all you really can do as well. To save as much fuel as you can. One fuel stint remains in the race, so I wouldn't put it past us that they will come in for one more time at least. Well, one more time. The top 4 guys, they pitted in lap 51. Darren McKenzie, Tom Pritchard, Craig Groffey, Andy Barber, those likes, they pitted lap 47, so there's a 4-lap difference between the cars. So that's something to also look out for. Andrew Dyson, Dave Douglas, Darren McKenzie, Luke Kenny, Tom Pritchard, that's your top 5 so far. Look how close they are together. And the Southern Star boys look like they really need to try and get behind the lead pack, try and save the fuel. But the drivers do have the fuel numbers. We have the first caution of the night. There's a big wreck, Christopher Finlay. It looks like there's Nigel Pattons in that as well. We saw that in the background just before, and now we've had our first caution of the night. And I was talking about the fuel, and you can take that piece of paper, scrunch it up, and throw it out the window, because now it looks like everyone will be able to make it to the end of the race. And we will check out the Skypoynt Racing replay and see what really happened there to Nigel. So we have Fencer getting loose there, just tapping the car ahead of him, and we're going to see Nigel Patton. He's going to try and get by. He just tries to dodge, just taps Christopher Finlay, and that sends them both sideways. That's a pretty big, pretty hefty impact, but Nigel Patton just gets a big whack from the other car, and that's going to put quite a lot of damage on his car, and that's not what he wanted to happen, and that's not how he wanted to end his race, but that's what happens here. Super Speedways, anything can happen, and anything can change at the blink of an eye, but what we can see is we're about to have our pit stops just again, and everyone's going to come in and fuel up. But we'll bring up a driver. We'll bring back one. We'll bring up a driver once they've come through the pit lane. Make sure that I'm not distracting them and cause him to have a bit of a pirouette in the pit lane or anything like that. So we see Darren McKenzie. He's leading the pack so far in the pit lane. Now gets beaten by Andrew Dyson and Dave Douglas. And talking about Dave Douglas, we have him in the booth. Hey Dave, how's it going, mate?
Hey boys, what's going on?
Nothing much, mate. Just figured we'd have a quick chat to you. You are, the former champion, and you are sitting in second position, doing an awesome job. How do you think your race is going so far?
Yeah, well, so far so good. Haven't really done anything yet, but just make sure I execute. Pit stops, green flag stops are crucial. Just cruising for now, but this is when it's going to get as crazy. We'll see a few yellows here, I think. So hopefully I'm out in front of all of them and don't get caught up in them. But it should be interesting to race to the end now.
Did you have enough fuel there to actually make it home, or would you have needed to save?
Nah, it would have been tight. Like if I had been in a pack straight out of the pit, yes. But the fact that me and Daiso just had to run on our own, like it was, I don't think anyone would have made it, like unless you were straight into a pack, and that wasn't going to happen. So it was about 3 to 5 litres short.
Well, coming into the second part of Daytona for the Triple Crown, you pretty much smashed out the last season too. You did a good job at most rounds. How did you come into this round, especially being back on the Super Speedways? What kind of plan did you come into this one?
It was just going to be a points race, so I'm not going to go too hard for the win. Just try and get some good points and see where we end up. Like, it's a lottery here. It's just pure luck, basically, sometimes. So we'll just see where we end up when we cross the line. And if it's in the top 5, that's a that's good.
Yeah, that's right, mate. And doing a good job sitting in second place. You are locking out the front row with Andrew Dyson. We'll let you go. We'll probably have a chat to you later on. Wouldn't be surprised if we had you on the podium. So good luck, mate.
Yeah, hopefully in victory lane, mate. But yeah, take it easy. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, good luck, mate.
And, the seriousness on the pace car driver's face there, he was taking his job very seriously out the front there.
Yeah, and you can see it just poked through. You can see it's very serious in the pace car. He's flicked his lights off, so now it's time to get serious. The driver's not so serious. They love to have a bit of a laugh and a chat to us, and it's good to have those conversations with them. But we have the NASCAR trucks out here for the NASCAR Truck Series here at Skypoynt Racing Oval Leagues, and we do have the iRacing truck, not NASCAR truck, but it's a truck, and they are getting ready to pull into the pit lane, and then we can restart this race. Dave Douglas, just before, a bit of a prediction there that he may be calling for a couple more cautions now. Now it's going to get a bit hairy now. All the drivers are together. Everyone's out bunched up. Restart zone. Andrew Dyson gets away well. Dave Douglas starting the high line. We have Darren McKenzie down the bottom there. And Andrew Dyson now moves high. Dave Douglas and Andrew Dyson looking at working together too. Clean start, 19 laps to go. This is when it starts to get a little bit hectic as everyone's starting to try and push up to the front and really start to make the moves in the race so far. Andrew Dyson doing a great job out in the lead, getting a big push from Darren McKenzie, Dave Douglas and Tom Pritchard. Dave Douglas and Luke Kenny, that's your high line. Tom Pritchard sitting behind Darren McKenzie there, just being patient, utilising Andrew Dyson's fuel to be able to secure to get to the end there. No more pit stops remain. Everyone's coming for their final pit stop, and everyone's going to really start to push here. It's going to get to a point in this race where fuel saving is not a thing, and that's when we really start to see the big push.
Yeah, and speaking of the big push, who's going to push out that big one?
That's a good one, Blocker. But 18 laps to go, and we've had one caution so far of the night. And Darren McKenzie now in the lead of the motor race. Tom Pritchard's behind. Andrew Dyson's there. Also, Dave Douglas, Gary Wellman side by side.
Yeah, huge push there from Tom and McKenzie. So they just absolutely drove around the front of Dyson, had to take the lead away from him. So Dyson popping out there to the high line with Dave. So he's going to look and try and get that push back with Dave. But we got Todd Maxfield pushing out there as well, just joining in between Douglas and Williams there. So hopefully they can get that outside line working, get Dyson and Douglas back up to the front there. But McKenzie and Pritchard's really pushing on the back of McKenzie here.
Yeah, and Tom's done a good job at pushing McKenzie, and that's going to really start to work with the team. You need a partner here at Daytona, and that's what we're starting to get here at the front. Darren McKenzie, Tom Pritchard, they're paired together against Dave Douglas and Andrew Dyson there in the high line. 16 laps remain, and they're getting big pushes with each other, and they're still side by side. And what I've also noticed, Andy Barber, Adam Malone, 23rd and 24th, they've dropped back quite a lot. And that's a bit odd to see. It looks like they had the same pit stop time, so something must have happened. The pit time of Andy Barber, 1 minute, 13 seconds. So that was a pretty big thing, probably saving some, probably saving some damage. But we're cautioned for the second time here tonight, and we'll see what happened very quickly. But looks like Chris Tomlin look at Jesberg, Maxi Marshall, And this has gone down into turn 3. And looks like Christopher Tomlin, that's a big impact into the top wall. And the number 4 of Trent Gosley just nails him. And then that causes the number 85 of Tony Roffey to get involved too. Pretty big, pretty decent crash here. And that's going to really cause a lot of mix-up in the field. A lot of people have damage, no fast repairs. So that's going to really affect them.
Well, the way the front pack's sitting at the moment, it's going to be a very interesting restart as well. You've got Darren in P1 and Tom Pritchard in P3 there, and Dyson and Douglas P2 and 4. So the push is going to be on right from the green flag flying.
Yeah, and what I really want to find out, Andy Barber's dropped back quite a lot. So running the caution, we'll drag him up and have a quick chat to him. Andy Barber, mate, you've dropped back into around the 20th position. What happened there? But we can't hear him, so I'll throw him back down into the Stars channel. Not too sure what happened there, but why don't we bring up his fellow teammate into the broadcast booth. Tommy, mate, it's Ryan from the broadcast booth. How's it going?
Not bad, man. How are you? Just, yeah, we're cruising around. A couple laps to go. It's looking exciting. That was a pretty exciting race, but wasn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty good to watch. You know, you're trucking along with Darren and Andrew up at the front there. You're sitting in 3rd position, doing a great job at that really solid race. We did notice that Andy Barber's dropped back quite a lot. Do you have any input of what happened?
Yeah, he kind of got caught up in the wall there when we were coming around past a couple of those guys. So unfortunately, yeah, it's put some pain to his race. I don't know where he is exactly, but I think he's still in the on the lead lap. So
yeah, he's in 15th. How do you think your race is going tonight?
Well, so far so good. We got what do we got? About 15, 16 laps to go. So yeah, it's going to be that. Given that it was a pretty gnarly restart and battle, then that I expect it to be like that for the rest of the race. So should be pretty gnarly between Dyson and Mr. Douglas and I think Darren and myself. So yeah, see how we go.
All right, sweet as. Blocker, do you have anything to ask Tom before we let him go?
No, it's just yeah, cheer for these Skypoynt boys over here. I think yeah, we're going to do our best to try and bring it home. We'll see how we go.
All right, sweet as. Thanks, Tom, very much, and good luck for the remainder of the race, mate.
Cheers, man.
There you go, league organiser Tom Pritchard and business owner of Skypoynt. Doing a great job there in 3rd position. The lights are out in the safety car for the for the 2nd time. Well, for the 3rd time this race, 2nd restart. We've had 2 cautions so far, and they are Darren McKenzie and Andrew Dyson front row. Tom Pritchard, Dave Douglas 2nd, Gary Wellman, Luke Kenny 3rd, Craig Roffey, Stephen Williams 4th, and Todd Maxfield, Aidan Schulz. That's your top 10 for the restart. Keep an eye out for drivers such as Andy Barber. He's dropped down into 15th after getting a bit of damage in the last incident, and it looks like he got that repaired. Have also a look out for Adam Malone. Stephen Williams looks like he'll try and have a run. Same with Aidan Jason Holsworth from Nitro. He's really quick here for the super speedways as well. And it's anyone's game here tonight. For the drivers that remain in the race, the top 21, they are going to have an equal fighting chance at this win. And at super speedway, anything can happen, and no one can predict what's about to unfold. And we'll find out very shortly. But Blocker, we're heading into the restart very shortly, mate. What do you expect to happen here?
Well, I think obviously McKenzie and Pritchard, they're going to count down this restart, get a good jump there. It's just a matter of how quick Dyson can get on the gas with Douglas behind him, and yeah, see if they can get that push around. They've got Kenny and Williams behind them, so yeah, it's going to be interesting. But the pace car's off, we're about to go green.
And looks like we've gone green for hopefully the final time here tonight. 12 laps remain. Darren McKenzie is in the lead. Tom Pritchard's in second. Andrew Dyson and Dave Douglas are going to try and have a run up at the top line. Gary Wellman, Luke Kenny, Craig Roffey, those three are sitting back a bit further. They're going to be trying to catch up. We have Stephen Williams there as well. And we see the pack starting to separate too. As we look down into 17th, we have Andy Barber there. So he's pushing on the second pack. He's going to try and catch up to the rest of them. And we'll see what he can achieve here. But he's doing a good job at catching back up to the back of Daniel Stevens. He'll be trying to catch up to his teammate Tom. But watch out. A lot can unfold here. And so far, Darren McKenzie, Andrew Dyson drag racing down the front stretch past the tri-oval. And look how close everyone is so far. This is where it matters. This is what everyone has played for. Everyone has taken this race very carefully to be able to get to the end of the race. And this is where they are. 10 laps are about to remain before we take the white flag and we crown the winner of this race and really start to see the championship fight. Tom Pritchard's leading the championship over Dave Douglas, and look at them, they are both together. And the fight for the lead of the championship is also on. But look at this pack so far. Side by side, no real big movements made so far. They're really trying to set each other up for the best chance at the lead. But quite a few cars down the back there's fallen off, got in a bit of damage and knocked them out of contention. But we do have 15 odd cars in the lead pack. And we'll see who can take the lead of the motor race. But it's been led by Darren McKenzie still. Andrew Dyson, Tom Pritchard, Dave Douglas, Craig Roffey, Gary Wellman all together. And how good is this so far, Blocker?
Yeah, pretty exciting. 10 laps to go. And I'm interested to see the next sort of 5 laps how this is going to play out. And see if that outside line can get that big push. And who's going to slot in, if they're going to keep running that outside line for the remainder. And looks like they're getting a little bit of a run there. Dyson just poking the nose in front. That outside line does have pace, but I think they're just losing out a little bit through the corners there.
Yeah, and the inside line does have its benefits because it is a bit of a quicker line. They're able to stay low and really have a tighter radius through. The top line also being able to hold the momentum well as well. But 9 laps to go. The times are ticking down quite fast. Darren McKenzie's still leading. Tom Pritchard's pushing. We have Andrew Dyson on the high line getting pushed by Dave Douglas. Double Ds. The big set of double Ds, mate. And they're doing a great job also. But how good is this race so far? Still drag racing. Why don't we go on board? Speaking about double Ds, why don't we go on board with him and have a little peek out the front of him and get a bit of a insight of this lead pack. See Dave Douglas right up the back of Andrew Dyson, just really pushing. You can see the bump drafting happening as well. Just trying to hit the back of Andrew square on, just try and bump his car forward and edge the car forward to try and have this run on Darren and Tom on the inside. But we can see he's really struggling to get this push because there's quite a lot of pushing in the bottom row too, and the line is much tighter, allowing the both Skypoynt and Southern Star cars to sit comfortably in the low line and just save a little bit. But fuel saving is out of the window now. 7 laps remain, and Andrew Dyson now just poked his nose in front of Darren to take the lead for the moment. And the run's really starting to get made. So check this out on the high line. A lot of cars seem to be running, so the majority of the pack is running high. So they do have the best fighting chance at pushing ahead. But we're heading down the tri-oval for the 70. Let's see if I can math. For the 74th time tonight. 6 laps to remain, and Dave Douglas and Andrew Dyson has really started to fall back, and that's allowed the Sim boys of Toddy Maxfield, Gary Wellman down the bottom to really capitalise on that and make a move. But we're 3 wide down the back. Now we're double 3 wide, and this is where we're going to start to see the action. Gary Wellman is side by side with Craig Roffey. That was momentarily 3 wide action, but there's a car up on the fence down the back, but no caution, no cars going around. We have Aiden Schulz. He's pushing Andrew Dyson now. The roles have changed, and now Dave Douglas is now the front, getting pushed by Craig Roffey, and Darren McKenzie. Tom still working the way at the bottom. Gary Wellman's now moved to the bottom as well. So Sim boys locking the Sim boys both low and high for this one. They're really trying to capitalise on the lead guys starting to fight. The push is still being made by Tom down the bottom. We have Craig pushing Dave, and that's all we can really see at the moment is just push, get to the end. Who can get ahead of each other? It looks like the bottom line is quite optimal with this one. 200 miles in this race, so it's a pretty long one, and that really starts to show when the drivers are starting to ramp it up and go 2 and 3 wide towards the back end of the race. But the times are going down quick, and 4 laps remain, and we're starting to catch up to lead lap cars. And that looks like it's Henry Fenton, and he's moved to the bottom, and he's let everyone pass. So good job to him, but that's allowed Tom and Darren to really push it a bit further ahead. Double D and Craig have fallen back a little bit, but you can see we've gone through 3 wide, and there's a car that's just been tapped on the bottom there, and he's able to join back into the race without hitting anything, so that's very lucky for him, but still 2 wide, and how good is this?
Yeah, looks like Dyson's not happy sitting back there. He wants to get back up the front there. He's trying to push for that 3rd line with Aiden Schultz behind him, so it'll be interesting to see if they can get those trucks around on the 3rd line, but looks like Craig Roffey just sort of keeping it wide, looking to go up the middle now.
And how good is this so far? Dave Douglas makes contact with Gary Wellman, and they're still going straight. And that's going to leave a big scar on the side of Dave Douglas's car. But they're still going. Dave now tucking behind. Looks like Tom Pritchard. They're very lucky. He would have had a big brown stain moment. You might need to check your undies, Dave. And now Dave around. And Kenny keep it off the wall. Gets drilled by Aiden. And Andrew Dyson catches it. This is a big one. We have a car upside down. And Jason Holdsworth is high up in the air, and that's a big wreck, and Dave Douglas gets a lot of damage now. 3 laps remain in the race, and that's a big incident, and a lot of cars are out, and I'll be interested to see a replay on both Dave Douglas and Jason Holdsworth, because Jason, mate, he went to fucking Mars. Sorry for language. Oh, sorry for language, that's... But we're headed to the Skypoynt replay. We're going to see what happened. Andrew Dyson turns Dave Douglas. There's a bit of a contact with that middle split racing car. Dave then gets drilled by Aiden Schulz, and that pretty much smashes up the car. We're having a look at the number 11 Nitro Racing of Jason Holsworth. Gary Wellman coming down to dodge Aiden, just hits the number 11, and he goes on his roof, slides up the track, and big impact to the wall, gets grabbed by iRacing and gets thrown up. And mate, this is NASCAR, not high jump, but unfortunately that's not over for Jason Holsworth. And how crazy was that shot? Lucky it's not in VR, because me racing in VR, the majority of my iRacing kind of career as such, having an incident like that would definitely shake you up. But that allows the Luke Kenny, car 15, he is in 3rd. Andrew Dyson now in 4th. The pack has really started to really shrunk as we have a couple cars, well, in the pit lane now with severe damage after that one. Darren McKenzie, Tom Pritchard, Luke Kenny, Andrew Dyson. That's your top four. And Adam Malone is now snuck his way into 5th, but Andy Barber's now in 12th. So that's going to allow him to really push up to the pack to start to have a bit of a chance after needing to repair some damage to his number 5 truck. But that was a very big incident that we saw before.
Yeah, definitely. And that means we're actually going green, white, checker this time around. So 3 laps to go. Green, white, checker. It's going to be on to the finish here. So can Dyson get back up and take the win there? He'll be sitting in 3rd behind Darren McKenzie. Looking at a Southern Stars potential 1-2-3 podium here as well. You've got Adam Malone in 4th. So they're going to be looking at trying to lock out the podium here.
Yeah, and that's the goal. 1, 2, 3 is always the goal. But Andrew Dyson, Che Mello, Luke Kenny, Todd Maxfield, Stephen Williams, Craig Roffey, and others would be working to stop that. So that's going to be interesting. But look at all the trucks that remain. Very surprising after that big incident. And we're 3 laps to go. So I assume that we're going to go into a green, white, checker, 1 of 3 of tonight. So we'll find that out very shortly. But Darren McKenzie leading this one off the restart. And Tommy Pritchard, he's in 2nd. Andrew Dyson, Adam Malone. That's your first 2 rows for this restart. So they're definitely going to turn this one up, and we can see who can really push to the end to have the best chance at getting the getting the lucky number 1.
Benefit when you've got your team cars up there, you know, you can control this restart a bit. So you got both lead cars there, 1st and 2nd, controlling the lines. So they're going to look to get a really good jump and try and get Adam Malone into that podium spot there from 4th. So look to try and get those 3 cars into the inside lane. Try and run home to the finish with all 3 cars pushing hard.
Yeah, and that's right. And everyone's going to be pushing really hard for the finish now. We have our first green, white checker of the night, I assume. So everyone's going to be pushing around 110%. And this is going to be very exciting to watch. But can't take your eyes off this one, because we have 3 laps remain. We have very few cars remain. And the battle is really going to be turned up for this one. But the lights are out in the safety car. What are you expecting to happen here, Blocker? Are you expecting another pile-up, or you reckon they're going to go to the end without wrecking?
Oh, I think they'll go to the end without wrecking, but no one's going to be holding back. So everyone wants that win, and everyone's going to do whatever they can to try and get that win.
Yeah, that's right. And everyone's going to be driving as hard as they can to achieve that win. And I'm very intrigued to see who's going to get there too, because we do have a lot of the Super Speedway-esque drivers. They are pretty much out of this one. Dave Douglas, the most notable. He was in the fight of the championship with Tom, and now that margin's going to be spread out a little bit, but we're going to watch to see what's going to happen here. Right, we're underway for the final time here tonight. 2 laps remain. Green, white checker number 1. We're going to have our first green lap, and then we're going to head over to the white flag. And we have Tom Pritchard pushing Darren McKenzie up in the high line. Andrew Dyson's moved low. Che Mello, Luke Kenny down the bottom. They're going to be working together too. Andy Barber is going to try and catch up to his teammate. He's fallen back a little bit. Remember, he does have a little bit of damage on his truck. So we're going to see what happens here. Darren and Tom and Adam. Skypoynt, Southern Stars, 1, 2, and 3. With Andrew Dyson now tucking in at the back. We're going to see what's going to happen here as they're heading through turn number 4 to get to the front stretch for the final time here tonight. White flag is going to wave. Barney's going to wave it. And we're going to see what's going to happen here. Final lap of the race. White flag and the run on the high line starting to form. They're going to try and have a run. Andrew Dyson, Stephen Williams. We have Stephen Williams trying to have a little push. Andy Barber is now getting below. And now Skypoynt racing Southern Stars 1, 2, 3, 4 as they're heading down to the back stretch. Darren McKenzie's leading this one. Tom Pritchard, Adam Malone, Andy Barber. That's your top 4, and that's all the remaining Skypoynt and Southern Star cars. And we can see they're getting a little bit squirmy, getting a little bit excited, and we're coming down turn 4 for the final time here tonight for the second part of Daytona for the Triple Crown. And the checkered flag flies, and it's a Southern Stars 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're wrecking under the checkered flag. And how good is this? Darren McKenzie takes your win over Tom Pritchard, Adam Malone, and Andy Barber. How good is that?
Yeah, and that just goes to show what you can do when you've got your teammates there. And, you got 3 cars up the front. And great to see Andy Barber get back up there to P4 as well. So that's a nice solid run for him as well. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of celebrations in that Discord tonight with that run.
Yeah, and after getting the damage and needing to repair that, Andy did a great job at getting that 1, 2, 3, 4. And bit of a shame that Aiden got knocked out early, or he would be there as well. But focusing on Darren McKenzie here at the front stretch here at Daytona, we have Tom Pritchard there as well, and no doubt we have the other 2 Skypoynt Southern Star entries here. They're all 4 of them are gonna burn this one up for a well-deserved 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's the first time in the season that we nearly had all teammates of more than 2 cars really get there. But how good is this? Darren McKenzie burning it up, and we have his teammates there sitting back and watching this one. And no doubt they're going to have a little bit of a burnout session as well as Daytona gets lit up with smoke. How good is this? Having this little burnout session, and has his teammates there watching behind him as they all go back to the pit lane. And we'll see them jump into the podium room very shortly. But a bit of a race recap in the start of the race, single file before we saw the first green flag pit stops happen, and then we started to get our cautions towards the end of the race, which eventually came to the race results here for the round number 8 at Daytona. Darren McKenzie, Tom Pritchard is your first and second position. Adam Malone, Andy Barber, that makes the Southern Stars and Skypoynt 1, 2, 3, and 4. Dennis Stevens comes in 5th position with Alex Schmidt in 6th. Greg Spencer, Luke Kenny 7th and 8th with Luke Crum, Shane Mello. That's ending your top 10. Andrew Dyson, Craig Roffey 11th and 12th. Daniel Stevens 13th with Toddy Maxwell from Simboys. That's your 14th position. Middle Split Racing, Tony Roffey in 15th with Henry Fenton, Steve Hoppett and Kim Roffey. That ends your top 18. Will Jesberg, Glenn Klein, that's your top 20. Gary Wellman and Dave Douglas, that's your 21st and 22nd position. Jason Holsworth, Kobe Jordan, Aiden Schulz, Trent Gosley, Nigel Seidel, and Christopher Tomlin. That ends your 20 at car field as we're getting ready to talk to the Star guys very shortly. But how good is that, Paul? How do you reckon that race went?
Yeah, I didn't expect the finish to end up like that. Got a bit wild at the end there, and everyone put on a show for everyone tuning in at home. And yeah, I don't think anyone could have called that or expected that to happen in the end laps.
Yeah, and towards the end they got a bit hairy. We saw, Dave Douglas, unfortunately, had that incident. He was setting up for a really nice position there. But you know what? who doesn't like a bit of action on your Tuesday night for the Skypoynt NASCAR Truck Series? But getting ready to talk to the drivers very shortly. But how good was that one, Paul? Very action packed, and that's all we could really ask for here at Daytona. We had a couple of big incidents. We had, for example, we had the 11 car of Jason Hosworth. He got sent to the moon, and quite a few other cars got in incidents as well. But that's Daytona. We always have a big one, and now we have the podium in the room. Adam Malone, we'll start with third getter here tonight. Hey Adam, good job for your third position. How does that feel to come out in third positions for your 1, 2, 3, 4 tonight?
Oh, mate, pretty good actually. We've been saying it for a while. It'll be good to come 1, 2, and 3, but we topped it off with coming 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, how good was that, mate? How do you reckon your race went here tonight? Obviously, you would be pretty happy with third position, but how did you think it went tonight?
Yeah, it went pretty good. We were trying to focus on getting Tom over the line, making sure he finished the race with some good points. But my race went a bit mediocre. I ended up going in the wall at I can't remember what lap it was, but it slowed my car right down. But I got real lucky with the one of the cautions that came out, and got my car fixed, and came back out and got a P3.
Yeah, awesome position here. Before I throw over to Paul, what were some of your expectations coming into Daytona? Naturally, being a super speedway, you do have your big incidents, and it's a bit hard to guess what's going to happen. But what were your expectations coming into this one?
Expectations, mainly just trying to stay out of trouble and finish the race. Really, that was my big goal.
Yeah, mate, that's the goal. Just get there and be there for the end, and that's what you guys did achieve. But I'll throw over to Paul and see what he has to say.
Thanks, mate.
Well, this has definitely been a long time coming because, back when we first started the Indersim Esports Network and we're broadcasting, and Aiden was in the booth with me, and we'd called this a few times to get the Southern Stars cars up there, and been looking for you guys to get these 1, 2, 3, and even 4 cars up there, and it's finally happened. And it was good to capture that for you guys finally.
Yeah, it's a long time run it coming, mate, but we finally got there, and I think we're all pretty stoked. I think we'll pop the champagne, have a few drinks, and see where it ends up.
Yeah, mate, you're going to pop the champagne and spray it. But just before we let you go, any sponsors and people that you'd like to thank that get you here?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Mishi XL Garage, Tiona Holiday Park, Skypoynt, and the Southern Stars Esports team.
Perfect, mate. Awesome job for third position, car 3, P3, and you did gain 6 positions up from where you started, so that's a pretty healthy gain. But we'll roll across to our championship leader, and mate, Tom, how good was the race, mate? You were leading it with you're leading the race of Aiden for quite with Andy, for quite a lot of that race.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, far out. I can definitely tell you what D-Mac and Andy smell like tonight, because I was wedged right on their back bumper the whole night. So one of those races that kind of went pretty spectacularly for us. I don't think we've ever done a 1, 2, 3, 4. But that's in saying that, I mean, it was no easy feat. I can assure you, D-Mac and I, in that last kind of third of the race, we were absolutely having to push it really hard to keep in front, especially of the Douglas and Mr. Dyson giving us a big run for our money in that last third of the race.
Yeah, and they were really pushing hard too. coming into this round as the championship leader and having Dave in second, he was pretty close to you in the standings as well. I think it was 16 points margin, sorry. What were you really trying to do this round? Were you trying to just protect your lead of the championship, try and gain a little bit, or were you just trying to maintain the lead?
Well, my philosophy thus far has just been try and go well in races, try and win races. So, to be honest, at this stage of the championship, I think it's too early to get protective, and you've got to just race hard. And I think that's what the philosophy was for both Dave and I tonight. Unfortunately, it looks like Dave's gotten caught up in an incident in the end there. But, this is super speedway racing. It happens so easily. So it could very easily be me or someone else next week. So, you got to kind of make hay while the sun shines, and the sun certainly has been shining tonight for us. So, but, we go into these super speedway races. I have an expectation that we will be essentially in the runnings for the winning of the race, no matter what, because, we've done a lot of training around these kind of circuits. We've done a lot of training in these races. There's no reason why we shouldn't be right up there.
Yeah, and that's right. And you guys did a good job staying out in front too. A lot of the Southern Star guys were pushing hard out the front for pretty much the whole race, really. So you guys really dominated this race too. So that's something that you'd want to come into next week with. But coming in next week, are you looking forward to doing the same thing again?
Yeah, well, that's the plan. I mean, it's obviously easier said than done to just go and replicate that kind of a win. But yeah, we'll kind of regroup and try and get ourselves in position to go well at the next one. I mean, we've got I don't know if it's Atlanta next week, but it's either Atlanta or Talladega. So it's those two tracks are very different from each other. But high speed, it's going to be certainly exciting. And by the looks of it, if we can continue to have the kind of racing that we're having between Douglas, Dyson, Mackenzie, and Rolfie, there's a few guys up there that are really pushing really hard, and it's really good to see some really tough racing going on at the front there.
Yeah, and that's what Skypoynt always produces, is some really good racing and very entertaining racing at that. But Paul, I'll throw over to Tom and see what you want to say to him.
Yeah, well, just confirm. So Atlanta next week. What are your predictions for Atlanta next week?
Well, last Atlanta visit, the start of the season, I wasn't actually very happy with our setup. So we had the setup got quite loose, and was quite difficult to hold on to. So I think we'll do some work on that setup for next week. It was quick, but we need it to be a little bit more consistent. So yeah, there's a bit of work to do there, but I've got no doubt that we'll be able to be strong there. But I mean, I think last time we were there, I'm pretty sure maybe Dave Douglas won. So yeah, we're going to have to be on the money. Otherwise we are going to quickly see, that lead that I've got at the moment. It's only going to be a fairly small margin still.
Well, finishing P2 tonight, and Dave, bit of a hard luck story for Dave tonight, back in 25th. So that'll definitely help your championship points, and hopefully you can get that setup dialed into the truck for next week.
Oh, sounds a bit of an easy game to me. No, it should be a challenge. It's unfortunate that Dave raced really hard all race, and I think he only got taken out there in the last kind of 5 laps, which is unfortunate. So yeah, but that's super speedway racing, and he'll be bouncing back next week, and he'll be strong. So we got to keep on our toes.
Yeah, and just before we send you before we jump across to Darren, just thank any sponsors and people that got you.
Yeah, I just like to thank myself. Nah, just joking. Yeah, my teammates, they're awesome and great guys to be around. Also, I'd like to thank obviously the other sponsors of the team, as well as the sponsors for the league. We've obviously had the league been going pretty well now over the last couple of seasons. Hot Toddies has been involved and sponsoring, so I really thank him for his contributions, and also thanking our Skypoynt sponsors, or the Skypoynt team sponsors, and that's Mishy's XL Garage, Tiona Holiday Parks, and of course, I should probably say thanks to Skypoynt. But yeah, and everyone that joined the league and has been racing really well. I think the caliber of the races has been getting better and better. So awesome stuff, guys. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one.
That's good, Tom, and thanks very much. Good job for your second place. Jordan did an awesome job to get there, and you and the Star guys were pretty much dominating the majority of the race too, which was good to see. But we do flick across to our winner, Darren McKenzie, mate. You came out for the win here tonight. How good does that feel?
It feels awesome. I was feeling good before the race, and I told the boys that I was absolutely going to dominate the race and take all the clean sweep of the points. I didn't quite get that, but I achieved my main goal, starting on pole and holding on to the win as well.
Yeah, and good job for that one too. You did start pole, so that's good to see. Also, coming into Daytona, you did say that you were talking about dominating the race, and that's definitely what you guys did. What were some of your other expectations running in Daytona? Sorry.
The last races we've run on super speedways, like we've started from pits, run slow, made a run for it at the end. But tonight we're all in the top 10 off the qualifying, and we just went from the start and we went hard. And there's a few incidents with lap cars through the middle section there, like coming out of pits and trying to keep that momentum up while getting back in positions. But it worked out in the end. Green-white checkered. I gave the boys a count in and gave us the jump that we needed. And we sat high until we all got clear. And Andy just come up out of nowhere. I think he started 12th off that green-white checkered and finished in 4th. So I think the countdown really helped him, and it helped the team to get our best result ever.
That's right, a big result for the team too. How did you think that you guys' strategy went? Like at the beginning stage, at the green stop stages, we did have drivers such as Andrew Dyson, for example, that did stop about 4 laps after you guys did. So how did you think that your strategy was going along? Was it going to work out if it went green flag all the way, or do you think that you guys would have been in a bit of trouble at the end stages of the race?
No, we were fine. Green all the way. We were at the pointy end. The yellows were always going to be at the pointy end because we were up there. So that was my strategy from the get-go's. Go early, go hard, no mercy. No fucking around, and it worked.
Yeah, that's right, and that's a good point to make too. You're not here to mess around. You're here to race hard, get the win, and you guys certainly did that. But I'll throw over to Paul because I'm pretty sure he would have a lot to say too.
Yeah, well, firstly, congratulations on the race win and the team, obviously, taking out the first 4 spots. And I know you're a bit of a beast around super speedways as well. You always seem to get the win at Daytona, so it's becoming a bit of a habit. Every time I watch one of your races, you seem to win at Daytona.
So did win round 1 at Atlanta as well.
Well, we're not at Atlanta. You'll have to wait till next
week.
Atlanta, yeah. So wait, you're getting ahead here. So So what do you find? You seem to always work quite well on super speedways. They one of your personal favourites.
There's nothing too difficult about them as long as you can drive in a pack. It's basically almost foot flat to the floor. If you're leading, it's hold that yellow line and hope the guy pushing you's doing a good job. And Tom's one of the best, and I think Andy and Adam as well. Like any one of them behind me, I would have been confident. And it's just a matter of luck at the end there. Like for Douglas, he was pushing hard. He had me worried. He had the sweat beading down the forehead, and he got involved in a little tap in the wrong spot, I think, and got turned. And it was like, no yellow. All right, Tom, get your ass back up here and start pushing. We got this. I think that was just before the green-white checkered. And it went yellow, and that's where I said just listen for that countdown and foot flat. We don't look back.
Do you find when you're under pressure like that, when you got, obviously you got your teammates around you, but you got a couple of other drivers there in the mix of things that might challenge you for the that win or those top podium spots? Do you find you might fall under pressure a little bit, or do you keep a fairly cool head and just obviously do
No,
what you
that's
can do?
so I had faith in Tom pushing. Like he knew when to push and when to get us the momentum back up to block them. And like I said, the only real time that I was worried is when Dyson dropped back behind Douglas, and they just flew up to us out of nowhere. And I'm like, oh no, what's Douglas got under the bonnet? He's brought something special here at the end. And yeah, that's where he got into trouble from there. So it's just very unlucky for him. Otherwise, those lap cars at the end, they were being very courteous. So I'd like to thank them for moving down the track and letting us race those last 10 laps or so real hard. But yeah, if Dave and Dyson were there at the end, it would have been, an epic finish.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It would have been good to see there at the end.
Yeah, definitely. And, it was a pretty entertaining race the whole time, and it was great to watch it. Also, but you guys really did do a good job at dominating that race, pushing hard and working together really well. But just before we let you go, Skypoint NASCAR Truck Series is more of a super speedway dominated league. What kind of category do you think that you rather with this league? Do you like the shorter tracks, or do you really like to push ahead with the super speedways?
They're all good in the truck. Like the truck is one of the most universal NASCAR drives you can do. You can chuck it on a short track, you can chuck it on a medium track or a long track, and as long as you got that set up in the ballpark, it's going to be a good run.
Yeah, that's right. And it was a good race to watch too. Very good job for your P1 position, the best you can get, and the Skypoint and Southern Star 1, 2, 3, 4. Before we wrap this all up, thank all your sponsors and all the people that got you here.
Yeah, once again, same as the other two boys. Mish's XL Garage, Skypoint, Tiona Holiday Park, and Intersim. Thanks for putting on the broadcast and putting it out to everyone each week as well. And all the boys at Southern Stars. Congrats on our best result yet. It took a total eclipse of the moon on a blood red moon, and we finally got there.
Yeah, and
maybe that's the secret tonight, Ryan. A full blood moon tonight. Maybe that's what's done it.
mate, it's a blood moon, and they're all coming for blood. So
the next one will be in about 3 years.
I think I'm going to celebrate with some fully red goon.
I already cracked a beer.
Make sure you hit us up in 3 years for the next one, then, and we'll broadcast it for you again.
Mate, but how good was that race? Skypoint Racing and Southern Stars 1, 2, 3, and 4. Darren McKenzie taking out your win over Tom Pritchard, Adam Malone, and Andy Barber. We would love to talk to Andy, but he's already walked by my room, and we've had a few fist bumps already. But how good is this one so far? It's a good one to broadcast and obviously commentate. But round number 8, we're heading to Atlanta next round, so that should be an interesting one to watch. Very super speedway-esque, but not as much of a super speedway. We appreciate you all for watching. It was a good race to watch with 80 laps of Daytona, but we'll see you next week at Atlanta.